Prepare your consoles for the upcoming God of War Ragnarok, because before you know it, we will be downloading Sony's biggest game of 2022. What's going on, good people? Hope you're all doing well today, and just wanted to provide you all with some brief updates for God of War Ragnarok as we inch closer and closer to its release. In case some of you hadn't heard, an industry insider has some details as to when we will be able to preload God of War Ragnarok for those who pre-ordered the digital version of the game. According to industry insider Joe Miller, you again?
You again?
We will be able to preload God of War Ragnarok on November 2nd, just 1 week before the game launches. If true, that would give us all a full 7 days to make sure we can set aside more than 90 gigabytes to download this behemoth of a game for the PS4 version. I'd also go ahead and make sure you have more than 18 more gigabytes of space freed up as well to accommodate that day one patch we are all going to have to install if you play it on PS4. No details as to how expansive the PS5 file size and day one update will be, but rest assured, it's going to be a lot, although perhaps quite not as large as its PS4 counterpart. If you want more information about that patch, go ahead and consult my previous God of War Ragnarok video in this card on your screen that goes into more news regarding God of War Ragnarok's file size and more. In addition to God of War Ragnarok being available to pre-order on November 2nd, we actually don't have to wait long at all until previews for the game show up. This coming Friday, October 21st at 6 a.m. Pacific and 9 a.m. Eastern is when gaming outlets will have their previews up for God of War Ragnarok, according to PlayStationLifestyle.net. Previews completely escaped my mind, as I thought the gaming outlets would head straight for a review of this game, but it will be cool to hear how their playthroughs are going so far, and I would strongly go into this thinking that Sony have imposed incredibly strict guidelines on what to discuss regarding the game. At least I hope so. A preview of a game like this that has so much anticipation going into it is sure to be strictly monitored so as to prevent spoiling the game. I'm not sure what story elements are free game for these previews and eventual reviews for that matter, but I'm sure the content will be surrounding what we have been shown in the gameplay trailers so far. Definitely read these previews at your own risk if you want to go in with as clean a slate as possible. As for the actual reviews of the game, those will go live on Thursday, November 3rd at 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 p.m. Eastern Time in the US. God of War 2018's review embargo lifted a week or so before that game came out, and so I'm not exactly surprised that we will see a similar occurrence happen with God of War Ragnarok. In fact, having reviews go live for the game several days before its release is often a good sign, as Santa Monica Studio and Sony have incredible confidence that this game will no doubt sell incredibly well, and will probably be one of the brand's best games to date. But hey, that's just my take on this. For me, this is exciting, just so I see what kinds of scores the outlets are giving the game. But I will not be watching any video reviews of the game whatsoever so as not to spoil this for myself. As a fan of the franchise all the way since its first entry way back in 2005, having played all of the games and spin-offs and greatly enjoying them, and being absolutely blown away by God of War 2018's new focus and direction they took the series, I don't want to have any more gameplay or story information spoiled before going into this game that I have already waited over 4 years for. A game of this caliber seldom comes out frequently, and I don't want to have this incredible experience potentially spoiled by seeing even more gameplay, even though reviewers are most likely going to have strict guidelines in place by the developers so that they don't reveal any sensitive information to the players before the game launches. Still, even with those kinds of restrictions, this is something I want to experience for myself, without looking at a reviewer go through and demonstrating parts of the game. I'm sure I will skim through some of the written reviews to get an overall gist of the title, as there are certain things I definitely am interested in knowing more about, mainly regarding the game's length and how long it took them to complete the main campaign. I can't help myself when it comes to that insider information about the game's length, and just want to know if that insider information was in the right ballpark regarding the game's length. So, tangent aside, what do you make of all of this? Are you going to be looking at and reading some of the reviews coming out about God of War Ragnarok before you play it? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, as the majority of you expressed no interest in knowing more about the game until you get to play it for yourselves. And for that, much respect. I also know that many of you are dying to know, like me, how long the game actually is from a main campaign perspective. There are many variables that go into this, like what difficulty you choose to play on, how thorough you are with clearing out areas, and just trying to have the most immersive, special first playthrough you can possibly get. I am exactly that way, often taking longer than most when it comes to these story-driven action games. I like mixing up some side content in there before progressing the game's story, as I feel that helps with the game's pacing, as was my experience when I first played through God of War 2018. The side content in God of War 2018 was so substantial and varied that I often saw myself doing extended play sessions not even touching the main story path, and I am sure that will be doubly so here in God of War Ragnarok. The endgame in God of War 2018 also delivered a hefty dose of content as well, and I am sure God of War Ragnarok will probably provide us with even more content to go through after the credits roll. But that's just speculation on my part. Regardless, I have cleared a solid week in my schedule to play this game and soak up all its glory, and I hope you all have an awesome time going through this game as well. Just a quick little reminder. The God of War Ragnarok giveaway is ongoing and will be ending Halloween night, so make sure you complete the form in the giveaway portal linked in the description if you want a chance at becoming an owner of God of War Ragnarok. Now, before we wrap up, I forgot to mention there has been a report out there that there is a whopping 400% increase of PS5s being shipped to the US, making the system that much easier to find. For those of you who just recently got their PS5s or are still waiting to find one, what was your experience recently with finding a PS5? This also goes to all my international friends not residing here in the US. How easy or difficult is it finding the console where you are? I'm curious to hear where all of you are from and how difficult the process of obtaining a PS5 is, because it seems like it is still an incredible challenge finding one here in the States. Hopefully, this increase in shipments will result in more people able to get these systems around the time God of War Ragnarok comes out on it, because if it's anything like Horizon Forbidden West, the game is going to look absolutely insane on the PlayStation 5.
Do what is necessary, not because it is written.
And that about does it with this video here. Thank you all for the awesome support to the channel. Be sure to like and subscribe if you love the content, and be sure to look at my insane playlist of God of War Ragnarok. I have some 16 videos linked here on your screen for you to enjoy as we wait through the final weeks leading up to the game's release. I look forward to seeing you all real soon in the next video, good people. Peace.